Come on in. Good morning and welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV. Happy Friday. I am so excited for today's video. So in this life, you get to do all sorts of fun things, but my funnest thing is actually coming to work. I'm coming to you live from Transwest Truck Trailer RV. My name's Katie O'Neill. You can always find me at TTTRV or RVs Inside Out, or even better, just shoot me a text, give me a call at 303-562-8659. As usual, I love to start my RV videos from the inside out, and today's RV is extra special and super exciting, and one of the reasons I love my job so much. Today we are looking at a 4081 2026 Newmar Dutch Star. This is one of the best floor plans available on the open market, and honestly, I feel so blessed that my design team allows me to go through and create coaches like this. So I love to work with interior design and exterior design features. So things that make things completely unique and really yours. So this coach has not only a special exterior paint job, but a ton of really unique features on the inside, starting with this. So you'll see this morel finish, high gloss, a really beautiful cabinet. Looks like very much what you would find in the Ventana, and that is because this washer and dryer, of course the Splendide stackable, is in the Ventana cabinetry. So I was looking for a way to get a coach that had more of a sleek and sophisticated design to it. I love the Newmar Dutch Star. You know, 3 air conditioners on a 40-foot floor plan, 1,250 foot-pounds of torque, a 450 horsepower engine. I mean, all of the things, right? So many fantastic features, but there's a lot of detail in the cabinetry of the Dutch Star. And I really love the simplicity that you'll see here with this Ventana. So if you look at these drawer faces, they're so nice, they're so easy to clean. This morel is absolutely beautiful. And in the 4081, you have all of this extra space. I've got my safe here in the back. And you also have a very deep pocket here. So if you did have shoe boxes or anything extra that you wanted to store, you could do that there. And then this huge extra amount of hanging space in the rear closet. I mean, it's just a really fantastic floor plan, and I love it on the Ventana, but the Dutch Star has some things that you don't get on a Ventana. So an extra 50 horsepower, right? So instead of a 400 horsepower engine, you've got a 450 horsepower engine. Now that is the same L9, so that's the same, you know, 8.9 liter Cummins that you find on the Ventana, that you find on the Dutch Star, that you find in the Superstar, for instance. All of these horsepower ratings can vary. So the extra 50 foot-pounds, I apologize, the extra 50 horsepower between the Ventana and the Dutch Star is palatable when you're going down the freeway. If you're looking for a little better acceleration, a little better passing power, there's higher speeds, then that extra, you know, 50 horsepower makes a difference, which is why the Superstar comes in a 4159 or a 4059. You know, it's the same engine, different horsepowers. So in the Dutch Star, you get that 450 horsepower. You also get 1,250 foot-pounds of torque. You get an extra air conditioner. So those of you that are living coastally, that are looking for a 40-foot coach with 3 ACs because maybe it's very humid where you camp, this is the coach for you. And then on top of it, you get a much larger wheel in the front, so a 365 instead of a 315, as well as an independent front suspension. So a lot of different features that, you know, bring you up in that segment from the Ventana to the Dutch Star, justifying that higher price point. But that being said, I still love the design cues that they have in that Ventana. It's just beautiful. So you'll notice here, instead of having the Summit two-tone in this bathroom, I have gone ahead and done the morel high gloss in all of the cabinetry. So there's no white in here. I think it's very nice actually just to have the simplicity of a single color here in the rear restroom. As you also note, there's a lot of storage here, 2 110 outlets, very deep pockets, carpet lined storage, so a huge medicine cabinet. Also, you'll see the standard tile that you find, this smaller, smaller subway tile with this great design cue really pulls in this special countertop. Again, everything in this coach is very unique. This has got a special countertop, special cabinet, special paint, both inside and out. But some of these standard features, like this really large rear closet that you can keep your linens in, your bigger towels. Also the little push to release storage space here where you can keep your Q-tips and your cotton swabs. Absolutely fantastic. And one of my favorite features of this coach is actually the sitting space on the throne. So if you are the queen or the king of this cabinet or this cabin, you have plenty of room here, lots of elbow room, lots of knee space. Right next to that, of course, you find your egress door. The egress door, of course, has a hidden ladder that you can deploy in case there is a fire. But this will give me an opportunity to show you this beautiful wallpaper. So another special feature of this coach is I've replaced all of the wallboard with my favorite wallboard. It's textured, it's got a nice sheen to it, which makes it easy to clean, and it just looks super, super classy. So when I make these special coaches, I do them for people, and my management team allows me also to do them for stock. So nobody will ever have an RV like this when you are out on the road camping. Now you'll see here, I've got my Aquamizer light on here. So for the AquaView shower system, we do have the Oasis dual loop hydronic system. That system is going to be your tankless hot water heater, and there's a recycle feature down here below the faucet handle, and you can switch that over to recycle, and what we'll do is it will actually circulate the water through the coach out of the 105-gallon freshwater tank and then back into your freshwater tank heated. That way you've got lots of hot water on your coach before you switch it back to full power. When you switch it off of recycle back to the full flow mode, it will then start filling your 85-gallon gray water tank. So a very nice feature in that it lets you go ahead and heat that water before you start filling the gray water up, because this coach is made for boondocking. Not only does it have a hydronic system, it also has in-floor heating, and then on top of it, I've got the 640 amp hour dual inverter lithium ion battery package. And the reason I have that is for those of you, again, that are camping in those warmer climates. You've got the 3 air conditioners, but it also means that you're going to need to be able to run that central AC if you're not plugged in and off-grid, sometimes overnight. And if you're in a position where you're not allowed to run your generator in the evening, you can actually run your central air conditioner off of just your batteries through that second dedicated inverter. So this coach is super, super loaded. Now I wanted to point out too that there's some great storage here. There's an extra soap dish holder down below. There's also a bar on the upper storage area where you can keep your conditioner and shampoo without it coming out. I've also opted in for the 250 pound or 250 weight restricted bench, that teak bench that allows you to shave your legs or wash your feet. And then I love that the Dutch Star has the towel racks here on the outside of the door, and then also it has a robe hook, which is super nice. Jody's like, where's that? I'll let him catch up. So there's the robe hook there. And then another feature that you get in this Dutch Star is you get a really attractive cameraman named Jody. No, I'm sorry, he doesn't come with a coach, but I can get you his number if you just shoot me an IM during the video. This is a live video too. You could always request his video or his phone number live on camera. He's shaking his head. Hey, it's a Friday night. He needs a date, right? All right, so high gloss Summit interior, again, paired with a Morel. I think it just really, really shines with this beautiful accent lighting that you have. I love the color of this rear headboard, just a really nice light gold. It's kind of a Prosecco color, metallic finish, paired with that wallpaper is just gorgeous. And then I really love the way that you've got this darker finish on the handles. It's just accentuated by the Morel. I love the Star Trek ambient lighting that they have built in. And then of course you have all the same standard features you normally have, the 2 110 outlets above your headboard, as well as these nice little grommets that you can run things through. So if you wanted to charge an iPad or any kind of computer, you know, you could have it plugged in and just have those cords dangling down. You could also run your CPAP machine if necessary. I get a lot of clients that ask me why we talk about CPAP machines so importantly, but this is a small space. If somebody has a snoring issue, they need to use a CPAP machine, it can make the difference between being married and not married, right? So this is being able to share those same sleeping quarters, and you'll notice there's a little outlet portal, if you will, above that cabinet right there. And that allows you to run the cords in through either side of these nightstands to your CPAP machine or to your phone, whatever it may be. And then here underneath, you'll see I've got two 11-foot that'd be a big table, two 11-inch inserts, so 22 inches of extra table space, as well as our beautiful folding chairs underneath here, because this coach has the Euro Booth dinette. But you'll notice over here where I mentioned that you could put that CPAP machine, there's no longer any carpet in this coach. So starting in 2026, although this is a Dutch Star with the Moor floor, even the small parts of the coach that would have had carpet before no longer have carpet. Now, one of the benefits of the Dutch Star, of course, is that you've got opening windows on either side of the 72 by 80 RV King that we have here. Another benefit of the Dutch Star is that, for instance, on the Ventana, you would have a flat ceiling as opposed to the cathedral ceiling, and you would not have Moor floor. This would be that vinyl material that I just showed you, so they replace the carpet, but still having this full tile floor is a really nice feature of this coach. And this tile is actually what set off the entire design that I went for in this coach. It's taking that beautiful beige, that beautiful gray, and marrying the two. And you'll notice that above that you have this beautiful summit and sentiment wardrobe, very specific. So this is a special feature that you have to order in. It's not on the check box. If you check all the boxes, you're going to find you will not get this coach. The reason that I had this made in Summit, though, is this bedroom just glows. It feels like heaven in here. It's got this great balance. My ceiling features are all done in Morel. My cabinets are all done in Summit. If they touch only the ceiling, if they're floor to ceiling, and then you'll have a solid Morel all the way down. So pretty specific about how I do these things. And the reason that is because I want you to get in this coach and not want to leave. Tons of storage, as I mentioned earlier, extra hanging space in the rear, but also two wardrobes here in the bedroom. And in a bath and a half model, to have this much extra storage, it's huge, because if you do have friends visiting you, you've got a place where they can put their stuff, right? You've got a little extra storage here in all of the drawers. You know, you could each take two drawers, maybe give them one. I also ordered this coach in with the awning package. So these are these nice power awnings. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up while Jody's showing it to you, just so you can see. So one of the things that's nice about these awnings is on the Ventana, they go to a set spot and they're done with a little hook on a catch. In the Dutch Star, you can actually set the angle and height of them so that you don't see them when you're looking out, but you're still getting that sun protection. Another great feature of this floor plan is the fact that you have the two windows on either side of the headboard, as well as this third window. This is a great place to put a little standing fan to get that air circulating. You know, you like to hear that little bit of drone of the fan at night, and that air circulation in the cabin. That's where we put our fan on our 22 Dutch or Superstar. We always have the fan set up right in front of the window. It's just nice to have that kind of noise, especially when you're camping and someone's, grandkids might be getting up a little bit earlier than you. Now here you'll see below, I love this cabinet. One of my favorite features is that this is removable. So if I was to own this coach, I would have Starlink. I did not put the roof mounted Starlink on this coach. I ordered it with a tripod. So I wouldn't need to have a cable box in here. I would probably take this out and use it to put my boots and my flip-flops and my shoes in. That's a great place to be able to store the shoes that you're using on the day-to-day, as opposed to having to keep them all the way in the back. So that's a nice feature that's in this coach. Let me go ahead and close this. And I want to just show you this pocket door. Now, when you look at this pocket door, what's interesting is, in my opinion, your doors don't match your cabinets. So I left the doors different. This is the original raised panel that you would get in a Dutch Star. As you can see, it's much more detailed. It's got a lot more grooving on it. I think it would be harder to maintain against dust and such in the long run, but I thought it would be really nice to have that extra insulative property of that raised panel in the doors that are dividing not only your bedroom from the front of the coach, but also your bathroom from the front of the coach. So you'll see this is what would normally be the cabinet here, but I made that just the doors. And then you'll notice here across the way, like for instance, on anything that's actually a cabinet, this is that Ventana finish. Now, of course, this is a 6-drawer pantry, push to release. We love this feature. When this initially came out, it replaced, they used to have one where you'd put your drawers in like such, and then you'd close this up, and you'd push a button to lock this so that it didn't come open, and then you'd have a friend come over to visit you that didn't know how to operate your coach, and then just pull it open like this, and then your little tab would break. So we really love these push to release, and as you can see all the way down, you have so much room in here to store things in, again, a 40-foot coach. So this coach is 40 feet, 10 inches long. It has all Whirlpool appliances, including a water dispenser on the door. It has my favorite feature, which is the meat and cheese drawer, and then the drop-down tray for the Prosecco shelf. It has a water filter on it for the door dispenser as well as your ice cubes, and it also has a very nice deep pockets freezer that has an ice maker in it, as well as a double tray down below and a single tray up top. So plenty of room to keep things separated, whether you've got, you know, maybe meats and vegetables and then popsicles, jello shots, whatever it may be that you're looking for. But also, you know, nice deep pockets for all of your condiments. Just overall a great storage area for when you're camping. Now that, of course, is paired with this dinette that I mentioned earlier. So first and foremost, this is a really, I mean, Jody, wouldn't you agree? Doesn't it feel like super light and bright in here? This is a very, very heavenly feeling living room. If you are one to entertain, this is the way to set it up. Now you could turn around the driver's seat. The reason I have the queen's seat turned around today is that is the larger seat. I chose that seat as opposed to the one that is more narrow because I do feel like you should probably have a small white dog if you buy this coach. If you don't have a small white dog and your wife agrees to let you buy this coach, you should buy her a small white dog. I have my little Belle. She's a Frenchie. She would look really darling in this RV. She also has a brother named Oliver, and then she has another brother named Henry. So we have 3 Frenchies. I don't know that I would recommend that to anybody with any common sense, but you know, we all do crazy stuff. All right, so here we go. This is one of my favorite features of this RV. So we all know the rules. It's going to be 6 for drinks, 4 for dinner, and 2 to sleep. So this has plenty of room for everyone to sit around the table and play cards, whether you're a bridge player, a rummy player, Monopoly, lots and lots of room here. If you have a larger meal, maybe you're having Thanksgiving on the road, plenty of room for all the fixins. I love the fact that this is stationary. And another thing that's worth mentioning about this, let me go ahead and stick this magnet back up here so the table leg stays, is you'll notice that when you don't have the convertible booth that turns into the kids' sleeping area, you have more room here. So this mounting bracket is all the way up against the wall, giving you a little more leg space. I think that this is an important aspect for consideration. The other benefit of this is that you have a little more of a cushion behind you, so this becomes more of a sitting area for anyone like me who wants to sit there, maybe read a book, play on my phone, drink a glass of Prosecco, have some cheese and you know, a little, you know, little charcuterie board, if you will. This would be a great comfortable place. And then on top of it, I can keep my flowers, my napkin holder, my salt and pepper, my Cholula, whatever I need right there. So you'll see here, I've got this big awning out again on the outside of this coach. Now, one thing when I order all these special things, we do start to stack up the price. So I did save a little money by doing a manual MCD power shade package. So these are manual blinds. One of the reasons I did that is because it is a feature that a lot of people, when they're between a Dutch Star and Ventana, they don't care so much about these power blinds. Now, if you like power blinds, I can order a coach for you as well, but this saves me like over $5,000 just to have manual blinds. And honestly, with the privacy that you have in this coach with these shades down, I don't think you'll find it's necessary to have those power blinds on this RV. Again, I can always customize it for you, but in the grand scheme of saving things, I figured I'd much rather have my custom wallboard and my custom cabinets than everything on this coach making it too expensive. All of that being said, I wanted to show you another difference in this booth. When you have this booth over the one that converts into a sleeper, this is a little more shallow. It's a little bit smaller for storage, but still plenty of room for your plates and bowls, and also for your placemats and your napkins. That's kind of what we keep underneath ours, because when we have the kids setting the table, we want them to be able to go ahead and get access to everything while we're cooking. Now, on that note, while we're cooking, holy mackerel, look at how beautiful this kitchen turned out. I love the standard Dutch Star tile. I have put this in so many different coaches. I might put this in your Ventana. I really like this tile better than what comes standard in the Ventana. I just did a coach that came in. I'll be doing a video of it on Monday. It's a 4118 Mountain Air. It's what I would call the badass package. It's got the Onyx package, and I did a really cool Essex tile in that. And this coach is designed to be a cream puff. So I kind of go with a theme, but yeah, tune in for Monday's video at 10:30, because that's going to be a doozy. That's the 4118, which is by far the coach I would buy for myself. So I really went a little crazy with it. But here you'll see in this kitchen, we have so much storage in a bath and a half 40-foot coach. I mean, it's really got so much room here. And of course, if you have your plates and bowls below the seats, you can remove this, right? And you would have plenty of room to put a toaster oven and a coffee pot up here for storage, which I just love, because I'm always looking for a place to store those bigger items, you know, rice cookers, toaster ovens, things that really make you feel like home. Also, I love the depth of this spice cabinet. This is a really nice spice cabinet. It's got plenty of room. It's got quite a bit of height up here. So if you've got some of those smaller, taller spice containers, like the Laurie's ones or the Dash, those will fit up here, and they're right above, of course, your fantastic cooking space. But look at how deep this is. So you've got one outlet here. You've got one outlet here. You could literally have your coffee pot back here or back here, whatever was more convenient, plugged in full time, plenty of room for your knife block and your spoons and your, you know, all of the things that you would put on your countertop if you were going to stay for a while. You've got your cutting boards built in. And then one of my features that I really like, and I do a lot of videos, you guys, and you have to say, Katie, you always like everything. Well, I do. But one of my big bones to pick, honestly, with the Essex and the London Air, I'm sorry, not that London Air, but the Essex and the King Air, is the fact that they don't have this removable True Induction cooktop. So this removable cooktop is so incredible. One of the things I will tell you about it, so first of all, if you've got grandkids and they're helping you make breakfast, if you wanted to boil a pot of water, you could put a paper towel down on this burner and put the pot down and boil the water, and the paper towel would not catch in fire. So huge, huge safety benefit to it. The other benefit, though, is that it comes with two different settings. You'll see that there's a heat setting and then a temperature setting. So you can set this between 1 and 5, or you could set it to a specific temperature, which means if you know that your fried eggs always turn out best at 360 degrees, that's a hint, by the way, you should try that. You can set it to 360, and it doesn't matter if you're inside or outside, your eggs are always going to be the same regardless of the altitude or the wind. So I love this. Of course, it's not windy inside, but if I've got this plugged in and I'm cooking, you know, breakfast, maybe I'm having bacon, French toast, eggs, and, you know, it's a nice early Saturday morning and it's a little breezy and I'm up in Breckenridge, I don't have to worry about that. This cooktop is going to give me the same performance because it's magnetic. It's not actually producing a flame that I have to worry about the wind cooling as it passes through. It literally just cooks the same temperature regardless of the weather conditions and regardless of the altitude. So I love that feature. And then as you can see, if I wanted to be able to continue to maybe, you know, prep my stuff while that cooktop was out, I can put these covers in place and I could have 2 cutting boards or 1. I could have everything set out, you know, my raspberries and strawberries for my French toast, and the kids could come in here and have a cooking station. Now, another feature in the Dutch Star that is only available here is this great deep basin sink. And I love the way they've done this dark gunmetal finish, not just on the drawer pulls, but also on your faucet, which, by the way, does have spray and pour. But they've also given you this really nice vegetable side and then a little bit of a deep basin with a smaller separator. So this is awesome. If you've got something big, you can still get it in here. But if you want to be able to prep some stuff and keep it on one side while you still can do dishes and rinse things off on the other, this is a very convenient setup for your sink. And it's super deep basin. And not only that, it also has that beautiful farm style, super luxurious front drop. Now the downside to this, of course, I don't have my scrubby drawer. Gonna have to use a different place to store my sponges. But I can do that down here because on the Dutch Star you get these really nice pull-outs. And as you can see, plenty of room here to keep if you wanted to have an XOXO container that had your sponges and your scrubbies in it, all of your cleaning supplies. Back here, lots and lots of room, very easy to access. And then over here on the left, you have a place to store your covers. So whether you're putting your sink covers there or your stove covers, you can do that right there and keep them all in the kitchen very conveniently. And then over here, of course, we have the dishwasher. Now, a lot of people go, I don't know if I'm going to use a dishwasher on the road. The one thing that's super nice about this dishwasher that I'm going to mention is that it has a place where you can dry all of your stemware, dry all of your silverware, and these little shelves up top. But you can use this as a drying rack, and in doing that, you're going to have a little more counter space for cooking. So as you're going through things, if you're washing dishes, you can put them in down below and use it as a drying rack. And it even has a rinse feature where it will just rinse off the dishes. If you've already washed them and you just want to rinse and dry them, you can run that as a shorter cycle. It uses less water. And honestly, folks, I'll tell you, so in camping, one of the things I like to do is I like to understand how things work so that I can give you better advice. One thing I'll tell you is that I can do all of the dishes in one day on one load in my dishwasher and actually save about 60% of the water that I would have used hand washing. So if you are boondocking, it would benefit you to actually use your dishwasher over hand washing all of your dishes. Try that out. But you can test it. I've tested it multiple times and it comes out the same way every time. I think it's a pretty cool feature. Now here you'll see we've got a few of these Bose controllers. That's because you've got two sound bars, one outside, one inside. You've got your TV remotes. You'll see that we have 4 TV remotes. We've got an outdoor 43-inch, an up front 43-inch, a bedroom 43-inch, and then we have a 50-inch on a pop-up. You'll notice that we also have our Girard awning controllers. I did opt for the more opulent, larger awnings on this coach with the elbow. We also have our paint. And now again, this is a special paint. So all of your colors, this is special 712, which means if you actually reached out to Newmar, they would be able to find your paint code this way, or you could use these if you needed to get backups. But all of the special paint in here. You'll notice also we have the flagpole mount. This goes in your flagpole bracket outside. And then things like the little filter changer and such are also in this coach. Now in this kitchen, one of my favorite features is you've got another place over here where you can keep all of your coffee cups, all of your drinking glasses, plenty of room right there. And then you have this fantastic island. This is the cheese tray or guacamole island, depending on how you're having a fiesta or you're having a party, whatever it may be. And it has the best feature of all, junk drawers. I don't know what you're gonna put in here. There's one that's a little deeper, the top one here. Probably a place where you keep your corkscrews, maybe your appetizer napkins, things along those lines. And then down here, gosh, you could keep like flashlights, batteries, all the things that you'd ever want to keep, be able to find. The random things that you find, knickknacks around the coach that kids left in places, just dump them down there in the trunk drawer. You can always go look for them later. And then you can see I can actually make this all go away. Now, when I say special, I am definitely high maintenance. This is the special paint on the outside of this coach. I think what really makes it is this B. B is called granite metallic. It is the prettiest, like kind of like blue, but just like a gunmetal blue. It's not like very blue. And this looks kind of beigey and grayish. When you see this outside, I think you'll find it's gorgeous, but it really ties into the interior of the coach. But these are all of the special prints for this coach. So I have to go through all of these and approve and make sure that Ventana style is where it belongs. One of the things that we caught on this was incorrect is we had to go back and make sure that we had the Morel finish where we wanted it, and that we also had the Summit finish where we wanted it. So, I have to really go through and double check all of these. And honestly, when you read these prints, they're not as complicated as they look. But this is a really important aspect that you have to understand. Other manufacturers don't let you do this. You cannot come in and make a cream puff in a lot of manufacturers. If you go in, which color do you want, A, B, or C? Which color would you want, 1, 2, or 3? and they just kind of come the way they come. I've had a lot of instances, especially with Renegade, where I'll take the tile floors and change that grout color, you know, because it matches better. And that is just like an act of God, where with actually working with Newmar, Chris Sponsler has been all over me like white on rice to get this special approved for a a London Air that I'm doing that's a bunk model this morning. Sent over the paint stuff, sent over all the specials, said, Katie, come on, approve my order. But she's always working with me. She called me yesterday and said, I found a cabinet I think isn't gonna look quite right here. Should we address this? And I totally agreed with her. We made the modification. But again, this is such a blessing that we have a manufacturer that builds such a high-end coach in the United States that we can actually work with, that will help me to create these beautiful, beautiful RVs that are unlike anything else. Now also I want to make mention that this is on the Spartan chassis. So for those of you who love your Spartan chassis, this is the spec sheet on the Spartan chassis. One thing I want to point out though, 252-inch wheelbase. My Superstar has a 304-inch wheelbase. We are talking about 50 inches of difference practically between the two. That is a ton of turning radius. So this little 40-foot Dutch Star can be much more nimble, much more spry, and because it has that second passive tag axle with a 17-degree pivot, it allows it to go into places that have where you might get high centered. So in my Superstar, everyone goes, oh, that's Superstar, it's a semi truck, it's going to be so much better off-road. No, this is the jack of all trades. When you have wheels that are closer, you've got a higher clearance going over hills, and also when you've got that wheel that's further back, that rear tag, you've got better clearance when you're going into those dips. So for those of you that are looking for a coach that can get into BLM land and get off the beaten path, I have designed this to be a true conqueror of all situations. Now, before we leave our kitchen, I want to go back and show you the mid-bath, because of course this is the aspect of this coach that makes it so unique. For anyone who wants to get up early in the morning, you've got a great place here. You could do your makeup over there on the left counter. You've got this beautiful backsplash once again. That vanity light is so bright, and you've got such a bright and cheery mid-bath for a small bathroom, which I'll tell you it is. It does all the tricks. And I want to show you when I sit on the throne once again, one of the things that Newmar does so well is they position these so that even if you're a big dude, you're going to be comfortable here. So the throne space is super important. And then as you can see, they use all of the room. So you've got all of that extra pocket storage back there. You've got so much room in this medicine cabinet. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if you did have, for instance, one of those, you know, magnifying mirrors like I use to like do my eyebrows and stuff when I'm on the road, great place to keep all of your supplies. You can keep your, you know, your tweezers and your, you know, fingernail clippers, all the things everyone always needs anyway. Keep your medicine cabinet full with all of like the first aid kits and such. And then plenty of room down here for TP. And you can keep all of your tank cleaning supplies here. If you wanted to use this for your cleaning supplies, you could use this instead of the one in the kitchen. I love the glass vessel sink. This matches the sink in the bathroom. And again, I just love the way this wallpaper ties into this nice bright white that we have in this high gloss. Of course, here we have a very easy to access breaker panel. And as you can see, everything is very tidy, very neat. You know, when Casey came on board for Newmar, one of the things that he was really after was consistency and product quality. And I have to tell you, in the past 2 or 3 years, we've seen some manufacturers really start to fail. The two manufacturers I can tell you that have continued to grow and become better are really Renegade and Newmar. So for those of you that are out there in the RV world shopping, these reputations that have been developed are absolutely important to everybody because they're earned. And if you aren't aware of how much better a Newmar Class A is built than others in the segment, give me a call. I can give you one after another people to call for referrals, people who've dealt with Newmar, who've had fantastic experiences, and people who are really enjoying their coaches. And that for me is the feedback that I need. Everyone's a hater online, so you got to be careful about what you read and where you get your information. But as somebody who's really well versed and heard a lot of feedback from customers, you know, since, you know, for the last 5 or 6 years, I can tell you Newmar has continued to improve and and make their customer experience better and better year after year. They're very focused on their consumer. So now that we're going to go up here into the living room, I wanted to kind of cover what I've done here to make this a comfortable coach. So first of all, I understand a lot of people love theater seats. I'm not a theater seat fan, but I will tell you, this is a really fantastic theater seat. And starting in 2026, we made some pretty significant changes. One of them is going to be this panel. It's called the ATC panel. It used to be a panel that was run by Silverleaf. It's now run by ATC. The reason that they've gone to this panel design is that this panel, the ATC system, which is kind of like the central nervous system for your coach, works better with our Lithionics package. So again, this is a lithium package coach. It's got 640 amp hours of lithium. I left room to add that 960 amp hour if you feel like you need it after you've had it for a while. We would be happy to install that third battery for you. I wanted to start off with the 640 amp hours because I think it's more than adequate for the way most people camp. And again, it's something I can always add. But so going into this ATC panel has been one of our big market changes. This panel can be downloaded into an app on your phone where you can check your tanks, watch your power coming in, power going out, monitor all the things that you're looking for, turn on your hydronic system, turn on your heating and air conditioning. All of that can be done on your phone. Another feature though that's really important to me is something I asked for year after year. They added a hard surface here. So if you're not drinking out of a thermos or a coffee cup or something that's gonna fit into this hole, if you have a wine glass and you tip this, it's guaranteed to break the stem and end up all over the floor. To have a flat surface for your glass of wine is such a nice feature. Or if you have some potato chips, or maybe you have, you know, I don't know, some guacamole and salsa that you want to be able to eat. You've got a flat surface to put that down. And then after you get done with that margarita and you are ready for your nap, you've got this really comfortable theater seat. So I will give, it's important to me, I can't build all of these coaches to exactly what I would have, or we would all have couches with hide-a-beds. By the way, I could turn this into a couch with a hide-a-bed in a New York second. So if that's your preference, let me know. I have to build them for the masses though, and a lot of people just love this theater seat. Now you'll see here I've got plenty of room to keep all of my remotes and then all of my blankets and all of my stuff down below. And if your puppy's acting up, no, I'm just kidding, don't put your dog in your theater seats. That is not acceptable behavior. Okay, so other things that I love, as I mentioned earlier, this outdoor awning. It's a little gusty today. You'll notice that it's still out. My Girard awnings are still out, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. But what's so nice is that it's going to be a little more durable because it's got that support, so it's anchored in a little differently. So these are going to be those awnings that you can come out even if it's a little gusty. I don't think we have huge winds coming in. Yesterday we had like, I don't know, it was like a hurricane like all day. So this is a nice reprieve, but it's nice when you're out camping and you're not in Estes Park where a lot of times the wind will gust up and just pull everything in, to be able to keep that sun out of the coach while you're, you know, enjoying your day on the port side of the coach as opposed to just the starboard side. So having that extra sun reprieve. Now I'm going to go ahead and put down my 50-inch television. As I mentioned, we've got surround sound, we've got our sound bar up top, and I put the tripod on this coach so that we would be able to actually, I wanted to be able to allow you to put a Starlink system on this coach. We can do it a number of different ways. I've got a mounting bracket, but right now Starlink is running a package where it's really inexpensive. In fact, I just got a free equipment email this morning from them to get their equipment from Starlink. I think that Blue Origin's coming out with their own version to compete against Starlink. And of course, now that Elon Musk is a trillionaire, who cares? He can give everything away for free. He's printing money. But no, anyway, back to the reason. So I can put a mounting kit up on top of here, and you can get free equipment for a lot less than having it factory installed. The other reason I did that though is I anticipate that this coach will go to a couple that may want to go to the Sequoias, that may want to go to upstate New York, that may want to go into Michigan to where there's a lot more tree coverage, and that's compromising your ability to have satellite. So by putting a tripod system where I can actually mount my Starlink below, I can move that tripod around into where I've got better coverage. So I've got a number of different ways to attack the cable question, whether it be a traveler system for Dish Network or DirecTV, whether it be, you know, Starlink, or, you know, a cellular system like a Cradle Point system. All of those things I'm very well versed in, and depending on how you're anticipating your camping experience, in the way that I built this coach, I can save you a lot of money. I've also pre-wired this coach for solar. Our panels are 190 watt panels. I can use a Zamp controller, or I can use a matching Victron controller, because in 2026, Newmar did move to a Victron system. If I use that Victron controller, I can still use those Zamp panels at 190 amp hours or 190 watts, as opposed to the 120 Merlin panels that come in Newmar's package. It's a much more cost-effective way to get a lot more solar in the same space on top of your coach. So again, I'm trying to save money because I'm spending extra money other places, trying to kind of bring this coach back into line with the pricing. The other thing I did, and we'll talk about it now, you'll see it when we go outside, is I pre-wired this coach for the outdoor refrigerator, but I didn't include the outdoor refrigerator. If you decide you want to get a Dometic, or you want to get the True system, however you want to order that outdoor refrigerator, you can. But I designed this coach so that you could just put a regular cooler in there. So for those of you that are like me, I don't want an electric cooler. I actually want one that I can put ice in, that I can get my drinks out of, that I can use, you know, the ice to make margaritas, I can use the ice to cool my drink, and I can use the ice to keep my beers nice and frosty cold. And I also don't have to worry about whether or not I have power. I don't have to worry about it sucking up that power. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to make that decision on your own. So I did have the tray install. I did have the pre-wire done, but I didn't include the refrigerator, so you're not having that extra expenditure if you're not going to use it. Another great feature of this coach, we've got this tri-fold sofa. So for those of you that have 4 over for dinner and they end up needing to stay because maybe they had a few too many margaritas, you do have a sleeping area that is nice and incognito. Of course, this is one of the aspects that makes this 4081 floor plan so attractive to most people. A lot of folks are looking for a coach that has the seating that you can actually face, you know, face your friends, if you will. Oh, darn it, Jody, is this thing stuck again? Let's take a look and see. I've learned how to get them unstuck. Yep, it was stuck, but it's wrapped around. Oh my God. There it is. Okay, hold on, folks. Gonna use my head here. All right, got it. It was wrapped around the little stalk. Always make sure you hold this thing up when you close it. It makes a big pain if you don't. But yeah, so a lot of people want to have the seating where you've got this big area where you can entertain. And it's also nice if you do happen to have company to have a queen size bed. So this is a real queen. The way that the brakes work on this, it's very comfortable. Your hip is well supported, your feet are well supported, and your shoulder is well supported. So you're not going to feel this. This is a great place to have somebody, you know, that's joining you on your camping trip, have a place to sleep. As you can see, it also allows you to still walk around. And I cannot tell you how many people I meet that travel with like 100-pound dogs. If you have a 100-pound pooch who wants to have a place to hang out, you could definitely open that up and put a doggy bed up on top. And there's 2 seat belts in there. So 2 seat belts here, 2 here, and then 1 here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 5 seat belts plus the 2 in the front. You could actually have 7 people with you on a road trip. I don't know that I would recommend that, but I mean, you could do it if you're a bit of a masochist. No, I'm just kidding. We love people. Okay, so another feature worth mentioning that is different in this model year, we've got USB type A and C as well as 110 outlets throughout the coach. So you'll see they're all over the place. This, of course, is really important because connectivity these days is second to none. There's some right here as well. So for those of you that are working on the road, and then another feature that I didn't show earlier is going to be the central vac. So the central vac is got a kick plate as well as this little guy here that would plug into your hoses. Now, you probably won't need the hoses as much here on the inside because of the fact that there's no carpet, but it's nice to have them in case you want to vacuum out your drawers. And then the kick plate, of course, is just going to be very easy to sweep into. The other aspect of the 4081 that makes it so nice is, I know we talked about glasses, but man, you could also use this place over here if you wanted to be able to put your taller stemware, and then you got a great place to be able to keep all of your board games. You know, you can keep, you know, these little shoe boxes, I think, are so handy. You know, label them, have your, you know, batteries, flashlights, all of those things up above. I mean, just tons and tons of storage here, and such an attractive, light, enjoyable, just beautiful interior on this coach. And there are another 2 110 outlets over here. So for anyone who's worried about working from the road, you've got plenty of connectivity throughout the coach. You will need to get the USB Type A outlet inserts if you want to use the ones that are on the theater seats. Now we're going to go ahead and bring the slides in now. Before I do, Joe, do you want to just show over here? This way we can see all of the seat controls. So you've got your seat controls over here for your tilt, and then to move the seat up and down. And then over here, you'll notice the lever that we use to release the seat so it can turn around, as well as the release that we have for, here we can do it. We'll do, oh, it's already tilted all the way forward. So this is the tilt for your chair back, and then your heated seat as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. You'll notice that there is no desk any longer, but what we do have, which we have not been able to have in the past, is we have our camera. So you can have actually the same camera, the same navigation, the same controls that you have. Uh-oh, turn the radio on inadvertently. Right here on the passenger side, as well as in the center console. So the oh shit, we lost the Jeep camera used to only be available in a London Air, but now we can get it in a Ventana, we can get it in a Dutch Star, and it really is nice because you can do all of the same things here that you can do in the center. So if you're looking to have your navigational directions, because maybe you're the navigator, you can do that. We also have a wireless charging dock. There we go, this little RAM mount over here. So for your cell phone, and then we have this step cover. And I love to show the step cover because a lot of people don't realize that we have these, and they're like, oh my gosh, what if you slam on the brakes? Well, you've got a place where you can land safely. So we'll go ahead and put that back in. And then we also have, of course, our visor cover. So if you, coverage, oops. Oh, there it goes. So if you wanted to be able to put a shade down, you could do that right here. They have a day and a night shade that goes down here. But if you're driving down the road and the sun's a little too bright for you, very nice that you could get that down there and you know, give yourself some coverage. And I love the color of the day shades. They're really nice. They tie very well into the coach. Not really on purpose, honestly. They're just how they come, but I love the look. Another thing that I love the look of is this dash. So they've done a really nice job at simplifying the dash. As you can see, Spartan has got a very, very nice layout for the center console, but Newmar's added to it a much more colorful camera system. And then of course we have our Nav and Go navigation system. You can select your destination. As you can see, you could use longitude and latitude. You also have the ability to go through, and again, with that camera control, you can change the things that you're looking at. So if you wanted to be able to see overhead, and then this is a backup camera, but I have the Dutch Star, the engine open, so you can't see it right now, but really nice that you can see that. And then you can even see like the video van there in front of us. And then if I wanted to see what was in front of me, I could push this camera and see what's in front of me. If I wanted to see who was at the door, I could push my right hand signal and actually see the same thing that I see when I turn my turn signal on, except for now I can use it as almost kind of like, you know, like a Ring doorbell camera, if you will. Now I am going to go ahead and start this real quick. Now, first and foremost, Spartan and Freightliner both have fantastic integration here. You can see we've got our Mobileye set here, and I can go back and we can go to, let's go to our top, set my brightness. I can take a look if there's any kind of, any kind of messages, like low tire pressure. And so I can see there we've got low tire pressure. I can go into my settings. Oh, stop, I heard you. It's gonna just keep freaking out at me until I pay attention. I will fill you up whenever we do our PDI. This coach, I don't know if it's been PDI'd yet, it just got here. So here we have comfort drive. Comfort drive can be can also be selected right here at your toggle switches. And for those of you that aren't familiar with what Comfort Drive does, Comfort Drive and the higher settings will keep your steering wheel more straight without your input. So it's an electronically biased straight. And when I say that, what that means is if you've got wind resistance and you're really fighting the wind, this steering column will stay straight for you so you don't have that same driver fatigue. It's a big difference maker in a Class A. It actually makes this Class A very, very nice to drive. And as you can see, there's these little half settings that kind of go through. So I don't really have 1 through 5. I really have closer like to 1 through 15, so I can really fine tune it, find my happy space, and set my Comfort Drive up to where I like it. You also have your diagnostics here on board. So if you needed to look at something with a technician, you could access that on the phone with Newmar support or with Bill Habercorn. You've got your trip computer, you've got your accelerator, you know, all of your, like all of the things that you need to know for the most part are up front, but if you're looking for your engine load and such, you've got all of that here. Here you can see our fuel gauge, our temperature, oil, our PSI, and then our def levels are all on that main screen, so you don't have to really go anywhere to see them. TPMS, I know we mentioned that earlier. As you can see, my front tires are really not that far off. I probably want them closer to 110, but they come all set according to what the manufacturer thinks the coach should be weighed at before it's loaded. We always recommend that you load your coach and measure the weight and then set them according to your Michelin tire recommendation guide on RV tires. Now, active cruise control, as you can see, is on short distance. So what that means is if I'm on short distance, I'd probably be in more of a city setting. If I'm on a longer distance, maybe I'm like driving down I-80, you know, from like through Wyoming or something, and there's like not a lot of traffic, I might be in that longer distance, so I'm not right on the back of someone. But all of that's right here in the center console, and always you'll have your display of your speed. You can put it here in the center, but it's nice that no matter what you're in, you're always going to see that there, as well as your odometer, your trip computer. All of those things are all right here in the center console. So really nice dash for Spartan. And then in 2023, they added 11 new buttons here. You'll notice that there's a source and a volume button as well as your headlight buttons. This is a big deal because it used to be that you didn't need to worry about being Wi-Fi'd in with your Bluetooth, you know, to your track list or your books on tape or whatever. But now, of course, they've added that because that's become something that's much more popular, as well as the hang up and answer button for your phone, windshield washer here. Cruise control is right here. And then you're going to see here, there's an A, auto headlights. So that's a big new feature for us. You have not only automatic headlights that turn on and off when you turn your coach on and off, but you also have auto high beams, which means if you're driving in the mountains and you actually have your high beams on and someone comes around the corner, they're going to dim automatically and then go back up to full, giving you a better chance at not impeding the ability for the driver, you know, coming towards you to see. Of course, it's a huge, huge safety feature. Now we've got cup holders over here. Our tag dump, you can either set it to auto, you could dump your tags manually if you wanted to. We've got our engine brake, which has high, medium, and low, so 3 settings. Our power window, right? And then our ATC override, that's automatic traction control, so if you were stuck in the sand or something, you might use that. Your heated exterior mirrors with power, and then you've got your Allison transmission. This is going to be on a stock control for a Freightliner. Spartan has yet to move it over here. The reason that we are building some of our coaches on the Spartan chassis versus the Freightliner chassis, people just have different preferences. If this is something that's more, you know, common to you, more comfortable, we've got this, you know, really nice ability to choose between our chassis. And then our HWH hydraulic leveling system, of course, is showing us that we are angled forward and then starboard. So this is, these little yellow lights are telling you which way you're kind of hanging. We are in travel mode. I could auto level, I could auto store, I can manually dump. One of the things that's really nice about the HWH hydraulic leveling system is it also ties into our hydraulic slide. So I'm going to show that to you now. One of the things that you get with your hydraulic slide, of course, is the ability to have what's called more floor. So this more floor is what you will see going down here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring these in. So here on the port side, you have a hydraulic slide. So this is a full wall slide is what we like to call this. But as you can see, it goes up first, And then it comes in, and Jody, you want to show the clearance up here on the roof. A lot of people say, well, why is there that drop down? Well, it's because it's got to clear everything on the ceiling because it just went up 2.5 inches. And now you can see it's just barely clearing that beautiful decorative ceiling cover. Of course, that ceiling cover has drop down vent heights where you can drop those little covers down and you can change out all the filters on your vents. And so that centrally ducted air conditioning is hidden by that beautiful ceiling decoration, but that is why you have a little bit more room above the slide when the slides are deployed, because they're dropping into that pocket. Now you'll see this slide over here is an electric slide. It's just sliding in all at one time, and that is because it is on a solid tile floor. We do have coaches that need to have 2 hydraulic slides in the front. This is not one of them. But really the partnership with HWH and Newmar has revolutionized the RV industry. People are used to having this kind of space in their living quarters. And I do want to walk back here. Jody is so adept at this. He's like literally crawling on the seat, like making room, because he knows I'm going to walk back and show you the ease of walking here. So a lot of times this is tighter. This is one of the benefits of this floor plan. If you've got a larger dog or if you've got a bum knee, sometimes you have to really kind of like, in mine it's like maybe like 8 inches or 9 inches across. This is definitely a lot more generous in terms of the walking room. And then as you can see here with this outcut, I can seriously sit down and start prepping a gourmet meal before we ever get to our campground. And I know that that sounds silly, but you know what? If I'm running behind, there's actually a good chance I'm going to start prepping dinner before we get on the road. Now, I've got the bedroom slide out because I want to show you how that works when we're outside. But as you can see here, this is the narrowest point throughout the coach. If I keep my soda on this side, I have access to it. If I keep my pop on this side, I have access to it. I don't recommend you're drinking beer while you're driving, but you would also have access to that. And if you needed to have a Jello shot, you could also access those. Now, if you need a Jello shot before you get camping, you might have a problem. No, I'm just kidding. No one has problems. Well, some people have problems, but we don't want to talk about that on TV. Okay, the other thing we want to talk about, though, is this. So access to my bathroom. So I have full access into my restroom while I'm going down the road. And honestly, one of the nicer features of this coach, you know, when you're looking at why is a Dutch Star more expensive than some of the other products, these nice beveled round corners are very, very soft. If you were to, you know, bump your hip here, you're not going to, you know, have it dig into you as much. And this is a difference between the Ventana and the Dutch Star. Now, for those that are curious, I have done Mountain Airs, which have a very, very modern look. So everything's very squared. I've actually added Dutch Star rounded edges, more like this one. So Jody, show that. So I can add this kind of edging to your countertops too. As I mentioned, I really love customizing these coaches because I think you get so much more out of them when they suit you. Now, before we leave, we're going to turn off the RV, but before we do, we covered this. What we haven't covered is your visor control. So I'll show you this. This is how far you can have the visor down while you're driving. So you'll see it'll stop automatically right there. So that's your lowest driving visor position. Now, if I was to put it all the way down and then start the RV, I would be able to drive with the visor fully deployed. Wouldn't recommend it, but I get a lot of questions as to whether or not you can use that. As you can see, nice place to keep your keys. Of course, because this coach does have the keyless entry. Nice place to keep sunglasses. If you've got your AirPods, whatever, and then there's a nice deep pocket here as well. I'm gonna leave my phone inside because it keeps ringing. Busy day, right? Now this goes up and down, and this, honestly, I thought that this went up and down so I could hand beer through it. It's actually so you can see out the window while you're driving. I mean, dual utility. Talk about convenience. All right, so now we're gonna open this up. On the way out, I do want to point out a few features. Your house battery on and off is right here. Your patio lights are right here. You can unlock and lock your your basement doors right here, or on the keypad, or with the remote. And then you have an all lights off feature here. So on your way out, bam, everything's off. All lights off all at once. Very nice feature of this coach. Jody, you want to hit that generator button? We don't need the generator on. I need the generator on to put the awnings out. So just so you know, that is something that is true. But now that they're out and they stayed out for the video, I'm pretty impressed. I can go ahead and turn that generator off. And the reason I say I don't need my generator on is because I've got that Lithionics package. Now, let's talk first and foremost, we talked about our flagpole bracket goes here. This is that side camera again, so you've got that side camera which you can use as like kind of like a Ring doorbell camera if you'd like. You also have a much nicer and brighter headlight assembly starting in 2023, so better clarity at night, really cool glowy you know, daytime running lights. And then I left this open so we could just take a look at this generator. Now this is an 8 kilowatt quiet diesel generator. If you got a 43-foot coach, you get a 10 kilowatt generator, but this is plenty of power. And this does slide out for easy access for the technician. I did opt in for the hot water line to the generator area. This is to clean the bugs off of your coach, you guys. You don't want to leave those sitting here. And then this is the release for the generator, and then it just slides out. These are the air horns. Oh, we forgot to honk the horn. Avin's gonna be so sad. I'm sure it makes him jump out of his chair every single time. And then when you close this, just drop it down. Now let's see if we can find a place that shows us. So this is that anthracite I was telling you about. This is just a really pretty, very mild bluish gray, making this a very classy coach with a little bit of depth to it, but not too over the top. And then I love this color. It's kind of a taupe, dark gray gunmetal look. Just ties in so well with the interior. And then I love this Prosecco stripe going through against the white. This is just a dreamy, dreamy coach. Now you do have your number code here, so you can just do your code to get in and out of your coach. You also have that doorbell, which Jody always rings for me. You've got a dual fill 100-gallon tank. Here is that slide tray that I had pre-installed with your wiring, but again, if you wanted to put a cooler in here, you could put a cooler in here. If you wanted to put in the actual, you know, the Dometic, you could put that in here as well. And I didn't put the tray in here. If I was to have a cooler, I'd probably get a nice 2x4, not 2x4, but piece of plywood and put it across according to the size I needed this to be. And I'd probably also want to put a little bit of a guide so it didn't move around too much. In 2021, when the King Air had over 100 new features added, one of them was the shelf above the refrigerator. I gotta say, it's a fantastic addition to the coach. It makes it so much easier to load. Another feature in 2023 is that when we got our doors redone, it became much easier to close with still having that great seal. So this is your television, again, your fourth TV. It is a 43-inch flat screen. It has completely, you know, it's got all the built-in, you know, whether it's Hulu, Netflix, whatever it is that you want to use, all of it's available to you without cable. You could also have cable installed if you wanted. And then as you can see, there are your attachments for your vacuum cleaner, but this is with the slide all the way out. I can get in here, even if my slide was deployed, and take out my lawn chairs, my barbecue, whatever it might be, because these do come out to 60%. All of the bays are lit, like there's a nice LED light right here that you can see. So if you are arriving late at night, you're gonna be able to get unpacked comfortably. And then I mentioned earlier that you might use this more often outside than inside, but you have your road vac attachments right here. So if you wanted to vacuum out your bays, vacuum off your dog, vacuum off your children, all of it is available to you here. And then it's really nice, we have our awning controls right here. So you can actually just, you know, touch this little button if you don't have your remote here to bring your awnings in and out when you're outside. So I like the easy access point for that. If the gust of wind comes up and you go running inside, it might be too late. This gives you the availability of getting in there and pulling in those awnings when necessary. There goes Mary. Show Mary. That's our Mary. Mary makes everything lovely here. For those of you who aren't familiar with our process, we have on-site camping. When you take delivery of your coach, you get to do your inspection before we ask you to pay for it. We have a very nice, very thorough walk around. And Mary is the owner's sister. She's in charge of our detail department. And that's why all of our RVs always look so fantastic. Now, here is one of the new features that they started doing in 2025. If you ever talk to a technician, they will rave about their access to being able to get into this box. So between the box in the bathroom, which is directly above this bay, and the box out here, if they have to do any diagnosis, they will tell you. It is a life-changing thing for them in terms of time. I never thought it was that big of a deal until I started hearing from the technicians how much of an improvement this is on their lives. Now, of course, we did lose our top shelf cabinet for all of our great booze outside, but you know, if we can have a lesser complication for the technician working on our RV and he'll charge us a little less time in the shop, I think we can all celebrate with a nice margarita that we make inside of the kitchen. All right, so also on the left-hand side here, you'll see there's a black tube. That tube is the drainage tube that's gonna come from your roof. So keep in mind, Newmars have a roof deck, and when I say that, Jody, if you just turn around and show, so that's Ken's new Dutch Star. Well, new to him, it's used, but he just bought that. And then there's this little, you know, Super C next to it where you can see all of the components for the air conditioner, everything kind of up there on top, versus that Newmar where it's all cloistered and hidden. That is one of the benefits that you have with Newmar, is it's actually offering you protection not only for you know, your Starlink system, but also your vent covers, your air conditioner covers. All of those are cloistered in a place where they're going to have a little less of that wind when you got that high wind going down the road. Now, I wanted to show this to you. So this is the cog system that they use for their electric slides. There's a wheel that has little teeth that kind of come off. It's about this big, and for every rotation you get about a foot. And this little cog slide is the difference maker. No cords that can stretch out or get longer. This is a very, very robust system that Newmar uses even to move cabinets and things around their shop. I mean, they use this cog system in so many places, but it is what's bringing your slide in and out. And it's one of the reasons that Newmar has such a fantastic product. Now, the other reason that Newmar has a fantastic product, of course, is because of the Star Foundation, but we'll see that on the other side. Now, when you get into the Dutch Star, this is a great place to see this beautiful paint. You can see how they've color matched, even down here where, you know, you may not notice it as the consumer, but this line right here lines up directly with this beautiful line right here as well. So just a really, really nice execution of that 4-piece masterpiece finish. This is your def tank. You'll have dual fill on the Dutch, which is a nice aspect. If you're in a place where you're getting def and it's on one side or the other, you don't have to worry about moving your coach over. And then the Spartan chassis, as I mentioned, does things a little different than a Freightliner. You'll see that you have your on and off switch. You've got the bottom switch is a little different. I learned that when you turn this off, it actually locks into place, so a technician can put a little clip on there, so no one turns the coach on if they're doing anything that might need to be power off only, which I think was pretty clever. Back here we can see the marriage of the Cummins to the K2 Spartan chassis. Again, this is a 450 horsepower chassis, 1,250 foot-pounds of torque. You also have a 15,000 pound towing capacity, and then you have what's called Safe Haul, which is an integrated braking system for your tow vehicle. And that Safe Haul actually can have sensors installed on your tow vehicle that will also display on your dash. Now over here on your right, you have your Oasis fluid. Now that is an overflow tank. That is actually a little high. So when someone runs this, and actually we were running it today, it may be why it's up so high as it is right now. We were using hydronic heat this morning with our Oasis system. But if it's below the cold button, which is like right here, you will not have any hot water or any heat in your coach with the hydronic system. Now, it wouldn't matter as much with this coach for the heating the coach because it has those in-floor heating, or the three-zone in-floor heat, which is electric. But the hydronic system would be what gives you your tankless hot water and your hydronic heat. That hydronic heat is running a tube of that liquid into an 8-gallon reservoir into your Oasis system underneath the coach. And that is actually what's, the air is being pushed over that tube of hot liquid, and that's what's giving you what's called hydronic heat. The floor heat is all electric. Now, another difference between a Ventana and a Dutch Star is that the Dutch Star has a rear-mounted radiator versus a side-mounted radiator. Honestly, we charge the same for, you know, a get-ready package for, you know, when you're leaving for your summer camping and you come in and have your oil change and your generator service. We don't charge you more or less if you have a Dutch Star or a Ventana. Our technicians could really care less. But I would say on the road, though, if you have an RV technician that's helping you roadside, it might be easier for them to get into that engine for sure with the rear-mounted radiator. And then behind me, we see the Audi. right? So here's one of those 315s. This would be the wheel that would also be on the front of a Ventana. Here on the Dutch Star, though, you've got a 365 in the front and a 315 on the rear. And again, in the Spartan chassis, this is the largest amount of pitch that you have in that passive tag. And there's a pin that comes off, and it actually like releases and allows the wheel to actually pivot. So again, that 258 inches of wheelbase starts from the middle of this wheel to the front. So whenever you see an any like this is a drive wheel, so this is actually one that's powered and moving forward. This is being powered by that 8.9 Cummins directly above your wheel in the rear of the coach. This is giving you that extra buoyancy and support, which allows you to have that 15,000 pound towing capacity and also to support that heavier engine. The other benefit of this, though, on a Class A, as we saw earlier, your generator's in the front. So if you are boondocking and you want to go ahead and run your generator during the day to keep all of those air conditioners rolling, as opposed to just the one that runs off of the central, or the one central air conditioner that runs off of the batteries, if you want to run that generator's in the front, way far away from the bedroom, making it a lot quieter for those of you who are trying to have a little siesta in the afternoon. Now you'll see here, we have our clear whole house water filter housing. This is a new feature that they started doing about a year ago. It's really nice. You've got a whole house water filter. You've got a nice place where you can have your paper towel dispenser. I did opt in for the SantaCon system. As I mentioned, this is kind of a boondocker's coach. And one of the things that changes here is I can attach a hose to this and I can turn on the pump right here, the RV SantaCon on. And if I wanted to pump out some gray water so I had some more room to do another load of laundry, I could pump that gray water tank into a local drain with a hose with this system, where if I had just a regular standard gravity hose, I wouldn't be able to get that water out unless it was going downhill. So that is why I've added the SantaCon system to this coach. Our freshwater hose is on a power reel. And as you can see, very nice, very clean bay storage, but also very important, we've got hot and cold water outside of the coach as well. So if you decide to rinse off in a Renegade, for instance, if that water's not warm, you're gonna be cold. Now they did start using the AquaView system on the Renegades this year. The big benefit, the big benefit of that is that you can warm that tank up, and if you take a or you take a shower outside and you're using your outdoor shower, it will be warm. So there's a lot of new features on the 2026 Renegades. If you haven't watched my videos on those, I mean, I've got like 300 videos out there. You could just be busy for a whole year. But that's a pretty cool new product too. Again, your power cord is on a power reel. We've got our surge protector, cable access, all out here in one bay. The little grommet allows you to access your cord with your door closed, and then again, that little power reel is right there. As I mentioned earlier, the dual loop system in the Chinook just gives you two different directions that 8-gallon reservoir can push that water out under the coach, giving you better zone capacity for heating your RV. Here is the other side of your full slide tray. As you can see, a lot of room here. And then when I close this, we're going to talk a little bit here about our Star Foundation. So you can see the Star Foundation right here. One of the things about this Star Foundation, it stands for strong, true, and robust. It raises the coach up off that chassis rail, giving you a much nicer drive going down the road. And it is what allows Newmar to have such a solid coach. There's a lot less tile popping, a lot less rattling, a lot quieter drive going down the road because of our Star Foundation, because above that Star Foundation is a 3-inch subfloor that is super, super thick, that's allowing you better insulative properties, both against heat or to hold in heat, and to keep it separate from your living space versus your basement. And then on top of it, with our 16 on center residential framing, we've got aluminum C-channel the whole way down, never any further than 16 inches. And all of these windows are set into that aluminum channel. So none of this coach is got a foam back to it. It's all nice aluminum C-channel. So like when you would see like they call it in sticks when they're building a house and you've got those 2x4s every 16 inches, the same thing, but a lightweight, very, very robust component in aluminum that allows them to wire through it. It gives you better rigidity, and it also gives us the ability to use batt insulation to keep this coach insulated. So we've got a much higher insulative property as well as sound deadening property, as well as the rigidity to set all of those windows in a very solid factor. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we've gone to the Victron system this year. We had a lot of people who really spoke highly of it. We had a lot of feedback. And again, this Victron system works much better than our pure sine inverters did with the Lithionics battery system. So this communication, of course, is very important on this coach. These batteries will tell the coach when it doesn't feel like it needs to have any more juice. They're able to very much keep themselves very happy, giving you the longest battery life. And then as you can see here, we've got another one of those little drain ports coming out of the patio you have up top. And I think if we go back far enough, Jody, we can show that. So this side here looks like it has an awning. That is just simply the patio covering, giving you that same synchronicity of having the same look on both sides as you do with your awning, but it's also giving you, again, that protection that we talked about with this coach. Now you could add another 640 or 320 amp hour battery up top here. I don't know if Newmar would allow you to put that 640 on top. In the King Air, they have literally 4 640s in the King Air powering their coach. And there's enough room up here for that one. Never done it, but if you're boondocking and you need me to help you out, I'd be happy to lend a helping hand. Again, dual fill 100-gallon fuel tank on this coach. And one of the big differences on this, again, is if you had a 43-foot Dutch Star, you would have a 150-gallon fuel capacity and a 10-kilowatt generator, where this one has a 100-gallon fuel capacity and an 8-kilowatt generator, but 40 feet with a tag axle, 15,000-pound towing capacity, tons of living space, is a great way to go. Up here is where we have the release for that generator, which we've already looked at. As you can see, again, very easy access, some spare fuses up here. If you decide to get an Essex, you're gonna have, you know, a windshield, like a squeegee. If you get a King Air, you'll have a power washer. If you get a Dutch Star, you just get a really nice water line to the front. Oh my God, it's always this door. There we go. I did opt for this, the chrome, or this, I'm sorry, the stainless steel baggage door trim on this coach, just because it's such a pretty RV. See right here, it looks a little bit bluer than it did on the other side. It's really hard to catch all of the great tonality in this coach. The one thing I can say though is she is a good looking beast. Chrome convex mirrors, and then also a stock number. So if you're interested in this coach, write this number down, 5N250802. Again, 5N250802. I think I'm gonna do a side-by-side comparison of this versus a Ventana. Jody is shaking his head. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Not next week, because on Monday, again, that 4118 Mountain Air is on its way. Again, if you've got any questions at all, or if I can help, you can always reach me at 303-562-8659. Again, 303-562-8659. Let me know how I can get you out on the road and camping.